Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today what we're going to do is we're going to build on top of the heads-up display video, whereas as you can see on the screen at the moment we've got health, shield and energy. Now the energy I very simply connected to the jump, so when we jump it depletes the energy, but effectively you could have pressed jump forever and it would always use the energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a limit to stop you from being able to use that, and as you can see at the moment the energy is slowly regenerating, which then we can press jump, and you know, when we don't have enough energy we can't jump, and that'll regenerate until the point where we've got enough energy to jump again, and then it'll jump. So what we're going to do is we're going to build out this jump system with the energy regenerating, you know, energy, stamina, and then you can probably build on this, and I'll probably follow up with another video making a sprint system exactly the same. So without any further ado, let's jump into it and get started with the blueprint. So just before we start, just a quick overview of what we're going to build. So at the moment we've got the regular input jump action, and then we've just got to check to see if we've got enough energy. We then pass through to the jump, which actually makes the character move, and then we're depleting the energy by an amount which we've set. And then obviously once we've released the jump key, which is spacebar, we're going to stop jumping. We're going to do some checks, which I'll get to in a minute, and then we're going to start to regenerate the energy. And then for the regeneration, this is quite a simple little loop which we've set up. Once we've called the regenerate energy function or event, this is going to start a timer to start regenerating or increasing our energy every second. And that's just going to regenerate by an amount here. So that's the overview. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to delete all of this. Essentially, I'm going to delete most of it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the bits that you would normally see, which would be jump, and it would be stop jumping. Yeah. So this is what you would normally expect to see, and then we're just going to build on top of that. Okay, so essentially what we want to do first is if we just give ourselves a little bit more space, so we've got plenty of room to add extra bits of blueprint around it. That's the first thing we should do. And then, so in its most basic form, what we want to do is we just want to take some energy every time we perform a jump. Now, what we can do for that is we can just grab the energy, drag it on, and we'll do a get. We'll do a get. And then also at some point we're going to need to set the new energy level. So if we grab another one and we select set. So now what we want to do is we want to take our current energy, and from this we want to do a minus. So we want to do a float, minus float. And then obviously we're going to take our energy minus some energy use from it, and then we need to reset our energy. So our energy is now being updated. Now if you followed on from the heads-up display video, you'll know that our energy is actually set between 0 and 1. So I want to take a quarter of that every time. So I'm going to take 0.25 and just use a quarter of my energy every time we perform a jump. So now with that being said, if we grab that and hit compile, and if we play, we should see now, one second, sorry, you should see now that every time we jump our energy just depletes. The problem is obviously my energy is now completely empty, but I'm still able to jump. So let's sort that out. So every time we press it, it's just going straight to jump. So we should do a little check before it, just to say, well, do I have enough energy to actually perform this jump? And if I don't do anything. So again, what we can do, we can grab our energy and we can get that. So we're going to get it, and we just want to check, is it less than, or is it greater than or equal to the amount we need to perform a jump? So I'm probably going to go about it that way with the greater than. So I want to know, is my energy greater than or equal to another float? So is my energy greater than or equal to 0.25? And off the boolean, so this is going to either be true or false. Off the boolean, I want a branch or an if, you know. So if my energy is greater than or equal 0.25, and that's true, I want to be able to jump. If it's false, I don't want to do anything at this point. So I'm just going to pop that on top of that, and then set that there like that. So, press jump, check to see if I have enough energy to jump. If I do, and that's true, I want to jump and then deplete my energy. So now, if we go and play, we'll be able to jump, 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 and then now I can't jump. Great. So, at the moment, our energy is checked. We do a jump, we minus the energy required to make the jump. So now we need some way of regenerating that. So, for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop. Now, you can regenerate energy with the event tick. However, the event tick, I like to try and stay away from the tick as much as possible because it is called every single frame, and you know, if you have too much working on your tick, it does slow down the performance of your game, and we can learn how to use the event timer. So what we want to do, so essentially when we stop jumping, we want to start restoring our energy, but we don't have a function for that. So if we right click and type in custom, we can add a custom event. Now this is something that, you know, we are going to define what it does, and then we can call it whenever we want. So our custom event is going to be called regenerate. Regenerate. Have I spelled that right? Regenerate energy. Okay. So our regenerate energy is going to do something to increase our energy over a period of time, but essentially once we've stopped jumping, we're going to now want to regen our energy. So now you can see every time that we stop jumping, we're going to call this regenerate energy function. So let's give this regenerate energy function something to do. So every set period of time, we're going to want to increase the energy by a set amount. Now usually this is going to be a small amount over a period of time, hence regeneration, but you can set this up however you like. So from this regenerate energy, we want to set a timer by an event. So you can see here we've got set timer by event, and that's the one that we want. And what this is going to do, this is going to set up a loop, a looped event, which we can tell how many times we want it to run by how much time. Do we want a little delay before it starts to do this, and then what event it's going to do every loop. So from the event, we're going to need to create another custom event, and we want this one to be so if we type in custom event first, and we want this to increase our energy. I'm really struggling to spell today for some reason. So every time we call this regenerate energy, it's going to go into our timer. Our timer's going to do something. It's going to tell us to do something every so often, and that thing is going to be increase our energy. So you want to grab from the event and pin it to your increased energy. So now let's look at timing. So how often do we want to increase our energy? So I think every second is probably a good starting point. Do we want it to loop? Well, yes we do. We want it to continue every second to do this thing, which is going to be increase our energy. And do we want an initial delayed start? Now, I think we should. I'm going to put in 1.5 seconds. That's just going to be, once we finish jumping, we should wait 1.5 seconds before starting this loop. Just so then it's not immediately like you've just landed a jump and then you're instantly regenerating your health. There's a brief period before it starts to regenerate. And then essentially what we want to do is the reverse of our jump. We would just want to take our energy. So let's get energy. but this time we want to add an amount, and then we want to get the energy again, but we want to set it, and we want to link these two together. So we're going to get our energy, we're going to add maybe 0.05. So if our jump takes 0.25, we're just going to regenerate the 0.5, the 0.5, sorry, or 0.05 every second. So then we can link that up. Now, if we want to make this a little bit tidier, what we can do, we can actually collapse these into functions for decreasing our energy and increasing our energy. But we can do that in just a minute. So let's make sure it works to start with. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to jump. We're going to take some energy off. When we stop jumping, we're going to regenerate our energy over each second. So let's compile that. Let's hit play. So I'm going to jump, jump, jump. We're going to wait, and then as you can see now, our energy is starting to increase. And then we can use it again. We can use it again, and now we shouldn't have enough energy to jump. But you can see there, as I don't have enough energy, as I'm pressing the spacebar, I've got a bit of a bug, because every time I press the spacebar, it's stopping my energy from regenerating. Now it should regenerate as we're waiting for us to have enough energy, because as you can see there, it started to increase. I pressed spacebar again, and now it's stopped increasing. That's a bit of a bug. Now the reason it does this is because every time you press the spacebar to jump and release it, it's actually saying let's start this loop again. So it's coming in and it's saying, right, great, start again. So it's actually because of this 1.5 second delay at the start of every loop, which is why we're not seeing it go up. Because we're essentially restarting this every time. Now it'd be really good if there was a way we could check before you start regenerating the energy again, am I already regenerating energy? And if we are, don't bother starting it again. Now, the really good thing about timers is there's a return value, which is basically all the information about this timer. Am I already running? How much time's gone by? Am I looping? You know, all that stuff's neatly packaged in this return value. So if we drag off this return value and we go to promote to variable, and then let's give it a convenient name. So I'm going to call this Regen Energy timer. So there we go. Regen Energy timer. This is now a variable, so we can call this anywhere else. So what I suggest we do is, after we've stopped jumping, let's just check to see if we're already regenerating energy. So let's drag at this Regen Energy timer. Let's get it, and let's drag off it, and let's see what some of the options are. So under utilities, you've got all these different utilities that you can work with, but one of them's time. So here we can see we can clear the timer. Does the timer already exist? That sounds like something we need. You know, is the timer valid? We can pause it. We can unpause it. You know, but at this point, what we want to do is we want to check: does this timer already exist, or do we want to see if the timer is already active? Is timer active? We'll take that one. So when we stop jumping, if the timer is already active, do nothing. If it's not, regenerate health. And I think that's the way we're going to go. So off the boolean, let's get a branch. Let's drag that in place. Drag that into here. So is the timer active? Yes. Don't do anything. If it's not, regenerate health. So now when we deplete our energy and we keep trying to jump, our energy continues to increase until we jump again and we deplete. So we can keep pressing the jump bar as much as we want, and then we'll jump when we have enough energy. Perfect. But currently our timer doesn't really have a way to stop. Now, if our health is already, if our energy is already like at its maximum, it shouldn't regenerate more and more and more. And you can see now that when I'm jumping, as well as the energy going down, you can see that the regen is still in effect. So you can see as I'm jumping, the last regen time has not been cancelled out. So effectively it's regenerating as I'm jumping, which we don't want to do. We want to stop the regeneration when we're using energy, and then let the regeneration kick in after we've stopped using it. And again, what we can do, we can use this regen timer just to clear the timer completely out. So I think the best place for this would to be when we press the space bar, we're checking to see if we've got the energy to jump. If that's true, then we're jumping. So I think we should put it in between the jump and the check to see if we can jump. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab another timer, put it up at the top, and off this one we want to stop the timer. Now unfortunately it's not worded quite like stop, but we can clear and invalidate the timer. Invalidate the timer. So essentially this is just saying stop and wait until I've told you to go again. So let's pick that one, clear and invalidate. So if we have enough energy to jump, we want to clear the regen timers function, and then we want to jump. So let's just make this look a little bit nicer. Oh, I'm making a mess of this now, aren't I? Put that there. Put that. Let's just put these nicely like that. So let's have a go. So now when I jump and wait for the regen to start, we jump, the regen's delayed again, and you can see now that it's not trying to regen whilst I'm jumping. So there is now a delay behind it. So what are we missing now? So what's stopping our regen from maxing out? So once our health has got to, I keep saying health, once our energy has got to its maximum, there's nothing to tell the timer to stop regenerating energy. Like, it doesn't know it's full, it's just been told keep adding this number to it, like forever. So I guess what we should do is we should check to see if we need to. So let's get our energy, and if our energy is, let's say, is it going to be greater or equal to? If our energy is greater than or equal to 1, which is going to be completely full. If it's greater than that, we've got a problem, but if it's equal to that, then we want it to stop. If it's greater than or equal to 1, we don't want it to regenerate anymore. So if this is greater than or equal to is false, then we want to increase. But if it's greater than is true, we don't want to do anything. So now essentially we're just stopping the energy number from increasing forever, because that's not what we want. Hit compile, and that should work as intended. So now we've got a stop. But again, let's go back. Earlier I mentioned about if we want to clean these up and set these as functions, or minimize them a little bit, we can set them as functions. So with the energy, the plus and the set all selected, if you want to right click on it, and you can collapse these to a function. Now you can see here in the functions that it's waiting for us to give it a name. This one is going to be depleting our energy, so we're going to deplete energy. deplete energy. So now you can see every time that we run this loop, we're just going to deplete the energy. So we've condensed that down. And same again for the... no, it's not. I've mixed these up, sorry. It's not deplete energy at all. It's regen energy. Or increase energy would probably be a better one. So when we do a jump, we're going to be depleting. So let's select all three of these, and we're going to collapse this to a function. And we're going to call this deplete. Deplete energy. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put these in a comment. So I'm going to highlight all of the regen stuff. I'm going to press C on my keyboard, and that's going to encase them in a comment, and we're just going to put regen energy. And then same again for the jump itself. Let's just encase all that in a jump. So now what you can see is every time we press the jump bar, the space bar, or for jump, we're going to check to see if we've got enough energy to do the jump. We're going to stop any regeneration that's happening from continuing. We're then going to jump, and then once we've done the jump, we're going to deplete the energy. And then similarly, when we release it, we're going to stop that jump. We're going to check to see if there's already a regeneration active. If there isn't, we're going to start one. And that should be pretty much it. That should be straightforward. Now, obviously we've collapsed these deplete and regen energy into a function. If you ever want to make changes to those, what you can do is you can double click them. Now, obviously you're given the exact same thing, but you've encased it in a function. If you want to make this a bit easier, because at the moment what we've got is this hard-coded figure for how much energy a jump costs. Now, if that's not the way you want to do it, what you can do on your function, when you select the node, you get given a choice to put some inputs. Now you can select that, and I'm going to name this one amount. And essentially this is just a figure that's going to be passed in for how much energy is it going to cost to do this jump. So now what we can do is we can just pin that straight up to that. Hit compile. Now if we go back to the event graph, you can see that this jump goes into the deplete energy, and it's saying, well, what amount? And now we can set that to 0.25. Although that is still hard-coded, on the event graph now, that is just going to pass straight into there, and you don't have to go into this function anymore to change it. And if you want to, you can promote this to a variable, and that's hidden behind there for some reason. And that variable you can set to jump energy cost. Yep. So you've got a jump energy cost, hit compile, and that's set to 0.25. So that jump energy cost is now feeding into there, which feeds into your function, which then starts to deplete your energy by that amount. And you can do exactly the same for your regenerate. If you go to regen energy, if you want to select this purple, this input node, select inputs and put amount. Yeah, you can call this whatever you want, but I just like to select set amount. Set amount. Why is that not letting me do that? Let me hit compile and see what's going on there. Amount. Okay, that one. Energy. I don't know why that wouldn't let me call that amount then for whatever reason. But I'm gonna set that up. Go back to my event graph, and how much energy do I want to regenerate by? 0.05. Hit compile, and then you've got it. There you've got a functioning energy bar with regeneration. So now your energy regenerates. Get to an amount that you can't use, and you wait for it to regen, and then it kicks in again. And that's it for today. So you've now made the energy bar to regen, and you've linked it to jump. What I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to set the same thing up but for a sprinting mechanic. So subscribe so you don't miss that. If this was of any use, please consider giving me a like. If there's anything that didn't work for you, or if there's anything that you think that I've missed out, please give me a comment down below, and I'll be sure to pick up on that and give you some assistance. Until then, or until the next video, thank you and goodbye.